appreciate you.
Same here. Have a lovely show.
Thanks. So welcome, everybody, to Mind Shifters Radio, the second hour. And today is Thursday, February the 4th, 2021. Our call-in number is 563-999-3581. And press 1, and that puts you into queue to talk to us. And we'd love to hear your comments and questions because that makes this your show. And we'll give Michael just a moment to get dialed in. I think I hear him online. Welcome, Michael.
He is dialed in.
After your intro, I have had a question texted to me, so remind me to read that to you.
Great, I'll do it.
Okay.
So welcome, everybody. Once again, we get to play. How awesome is that? And we're talking about emotions and what is behind our emotional states and what do they mean. And the title of our chapter, we are editing it slightly if you have the book or going into page 24, but I acknowledge that I didn't really understand the difference between feelings and emotions back 30 years ago when I wrote this book, so I titled it Feelings, Our Guidance System. And it really should have been Emotions, Our Guidance System. And we've talked to Richard, the character in the book that I'm speaking with, about the fact that his emotions are created by his own thoughts. And that if I'm in pain, aside from cancel the thought, somebody come back and punching him in the nose, that if I'm in pain, my thinking is in error. And that emotions are the feedback mechanism that warn us of the quality of our creative process. And our creative process happens through the mind. Mind is the builder. And so if we go to the opening words in the book of John, where we're told by the Greeks, it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word became flesh. What it actually says is, in the beginning was the mind energy, and the mind energy became flesh. So it would make sense if there were an intelligent creator that was going to develop this structure called the body-mind unit, that it would give us a feedback mechanism that tells us the quality of our creative process. And that's all emotions are for. They are reflective, our emotions are reflective of the quality of energy that we're engaged in. Negative or destructive emotions, and they're always destructive. People say, well, my anger motivates me and it gets me up and gets me doing something. Yeah, but guess what? It's not getting you to do the right stuff, because anger comes from corrupt data as a way to anesthetize against the pain of corrupt data, and will always lead you in the wrong direction. If you ask people, what were you experiencing? What were your emotions when you did that thing which you now today just confess you regret so much? It'll always be some form of hostility or fear, because corrupt data always leads us toward a lie. So we're now talking to Richard about tools, and Richard asks the question, just what do you mean about tools? And I'm on the page, top of page 24, if you are with me in the book. Tools are concrete techniques or actions you can use to resolve upsets or patterns at the moment they occur. They're designed to provide a way to assist in creating joy and unloading the burdens most people accumulate in the course of their daily lives. For instance, taking responsibility is a tool. When you project responsibility onto another, the mind shows you they are your problem. Now, how does this thing called projection work? Remember, the definition in this work of denial is whenever I think or speak as though something outside of me is a cause of something inside of me, I'm in denial. So my internal mechanism produces a certain experience, and in order to hide how I'm doing that to myself, I talk about how you did it to me, and it's your fault. And in order to generate a perceptual construct that proves to me that you're the one who did it to me, I have to hide from myself the real cause of what's happening inside of me. So now I say, I want to overcome this, but you did it to me, and so now I'm a victim of it, because the root of it I've hidden underneath this construct of my mind that shows me that you're the problem in my life. So when you use the tool of responsibility, you resolve that projection because your mind will shift what it shows you about both them and yourself. In other words, when I stop saying, you made me so mad, and I go, wow, I've been through this anger 87 different times with 42 different people. Maybe it's time for me to take a breath and see why that anger is so persistent in my life. And then I get to start to look underneath the surface at the hidden part of my mind that I've dissociated from with my denial. Now, what we've discovered is that everything that moves in your mind is energy, and when energy moves, it creates energy waves. And so if I go into denial about something, I press down that which I have denied. I push that energy down. I push it down. I push it down. I don't want to look at this. No, I'm not responsible. It's all their fault. And I push it down. When I push it down, I add energy to it. And when I add energy to it, I create a strengthened, radiating energy wave that reaches out to all the world, and through resonance, remember, resonance is that which draws people to us. The law of resonance creates motion toward. So if there's something I very, very deeply don't ever want to have happen to me again, and I'm not willing to undo my denial and own that it's happened to me because I'm a creator and I've participated in it, that's why the again word is there. When I own that, I can access that energy that I've dissociated from, and I can transmute or change that energy. When I'm in denial, I keep that hidden and I keep adding energy to it, which keeps the resonance going, and through resonance draws somebody in to do it to me again. Interesting thing happens. When they do it to me again, quote unquote, it resonates the very brain cells I've dissociated from, and they're the brain cells with which I create my picture of the person who I'm blaming. So now I've taken the very content of my brain cell structure and I've projected into my brain's image of you, if you happen to be the one I'm blaming today. So when I own that, when I recognize that, then I can collapse that projection. Now, the culture generally teaches projection is taking something that's inside of you and putting it outside of you. That's not projection at all. That's externalization. Projection is when I take content of my own brain cell structure and I build pictures of it, and I think that the pictures are you, that I'm looking up through my eyes and seeing you, when the truth is I'm projecting from my own brain cell structure the perceptual construct that convinces me that you're the problem in my life. So when I take responsibility, I change that whole dynamic. Being aware that feelings or emotions are a guidance system is another tool. When you use that awareness, you tend to look at yourself accurately, and you're more likely to see yourself truly rather than blame others when your upset surfaces. A few of the many other tools presented in this work include my commitment, breathing, still point breathing, awareness, forgiveness. And forgiveness being the tool with which I remove content from my mind, not the Greek idea that I'm going to let you off the hook because that content is there causing me pain. I carry on with my conversation with Richard, and I could go on with a long list, but each tool will unfold in its own time. I'm confused, Richard said solemnly. I understand. It's a lot to absorb all at once, but the principles of this work are really quite simple. The seeming complexity and confusion of learning this new way of thinking come from the habit of holding on to old beliefs, which makes it difficult to integrate new ideas. The confusion does not come from the principles themselves. And then there's a key thought at this point in the book, and the key thought is, truth is complex to a complex mind, and simple to a simplified mind. Did you learn traditional mathematics when you were in school? I asked Richard. He nodded. Have you encountered new math since then? Yeah, I attempted to learn it and teach it to my daughter. Studying it was like going into a foreign world, and I felt pretty stupid when it took me weeks to catch up with her. She was only 12 at the time. That's my point. With this material, when you're being introduced to a whole new way of thinking and living, a new world, so to speak, is where you're going. You may even get the chance to feel and heal some of that old stupid feeling as you integrate this teaching. There's a saying that you can't do new math with an old math mind. It's the same way you cannot simultaneously take responsibility for your life and blame someone else. And so that's from Chapter 4, Emotions, our guidance system. And the book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And if you don't have a copy of the book, it's out of print, but you can jump online, and if you look on Amazon or on eBay, there are usually several copies available for a couple of bucks. And so you can order it there, and or if you're a digital reader, you can go to our website and download the book free, a digital copy of it, a PDF of it, and print it off for yourself. So we're here to make the tools available, and we invite you to take them and put them to work. Grab a copy of the book, and we're going to be reading through each day a short piece of the book as we unfold our radio show. So delighted that you're here. And Miss Jeanie, you had a question for us.
Yes, and it was a text that I received, and they wanted to know, and I started to answer, but then I wasn't 100% sure. So is Ruka the same name in the Course in Miracles? And I don't think the Course refers to it as that, but can you expand on that?
Yeah, the Course in Miracles doesn't use the Aramaic words of Ruka at all. It uses the more traditional Western Greek translations of the Holy Spirit. But wherever you see the words Holy Spirit in the Course in Miracles, you'd be looking at the words Ruka in Aramaic. And the Course, as the Western world, translates that as masculine, where in the Aramaic, Ruka is a feminine, it's gendered feminine as a title for this elemental force in us that undoes the effects of our errors and teaches us the truth. But there is no reference to those specific words in the Course, no.
All right. And that made me think, too, and this came out one time when we were doing a workshop at a Spanish church, and there was a young girl who was translating. And she would,
yes.
It was really pretty cool because she would stop every now and then and ask you specifically what you were talking about. So she made sure that she translated right and didn't just translate words. And when we got to the topic about Ruka being feminine, it was easy for them to understand because Spanish, they either put el or la in front of other nouns to represent whether it's male or female, yeah, but doesn't necessarily mean it's female or male sexually, because like they might call a table or a chair. Right. So it was easy for them to grasp that instead of thinking, oh, it's a female spirit. It's just the feminine gender of it. But anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in. So we don't have any hands up. Had one up just a little bit earlier, and I think it was Magda. So I'm going to click her mic on and see if she still has a question. Hello, Magda. Are you in a place where you can ask a question?
Welcome, young lady. Hello, Magda. How are you? Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. Are you with us, Magdalena? She maybe put her hand down because she had something she was doing. You know, she's always got lots of things going on in her place, so she probably walked away from the phone. That's why she took her hand down. But we'll hope she comes back.
So if you have a question or a comment, we had our second class last night. If anybody is on the show that was in part of the class and has a question. And I really like the way that people are already stepping in and assisting other people. And Particularly I'm thinking of Nene stepping up and helping Tipia to understand.
Thank you, Nene.
And that was awesome. Yeah. And Magda's hand just went back up, so I'm going to turn her
cool.
on. Hey there.
Hey, here.
Hi. Oops.
Welcome. You're loud and clear.
Okay. Good. I missed the last 10 minutes. I had a phone call come in that I needed to take. But here's my question for today.
Okay.
At the very end of yesterday's discussion, you said something that I may have heard many times, but I never heard it this way. So I'd like to ask about it.
Okay.
Okay, you said if you overload yourself with goals, it is easy for the mind to go into power person behavior. Did I get that the way you meant?
That's it. Yeah.
And what I realized, at first I knew there was something there for me that I hadn't heard or seen before, or felt actually. And so I thought about it a little bit, and I went, what power person behavior would I be getting into? Because my power person is my dad, right? And I've always thought of his power person behavior only in one way, and that was his negativity toward other people. And what I realized is that he may have other power person patterns that I have integrated as well. That's what I want to ask you about. And specifically, when I overload myself with, how to explain this, too much to do, I create
too many things on your to-do list. Yep.
Yeah. First of all, I create the too much, okay? So there's many, many tasks and unfinished things. And then I put them on my to-do list. And then I go into what I think might have been his power person behavior, which I actually know. I observed it, but I just never thought of it as power person before. And what that behavior was for him to say, well, I'm not really sure how to do this. And I don't know where to start. And he probably had a lot of other things, but those are two that I have used with myself and my overload. I'm not sure where to start. And he used to talk about the project a lot, and that kept him from actually doing the project. And right. I don't really talk to others like he did, but I do a lot of thinking about it, worrying about it, So I think I talk to myself about it. Anyway, would that be a realistic application of what you said?
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right on. And will play out. And remember that the thing, let's go back for anybody that's listening who doesn't know what we're talking about with power person, let's just do a quick review. A power person dynamic is instilled in a person's mind when three things occur. And it usually is a parent or a caretaker, though not always, that becomes the power person. And the three factors that produce this power person dynamic are: one, this person has more control over your life than you do at this given moment. Two, this person is not functioning as love. And three, you perceive the circumstance as survival. So when those three things occur, the child, again, it's usually a child, although I've worked with adults. I've worked with, I remember working with one guy in his 70s, and he had been in a robbery a few years earlier and really thought he was going to be shot. And he just had this whole power person dynamic taken on from this robber. And he found himself doing the same kind of emotional responses that he observed this robber that he thought was going to kill him. So it was clearly a power person dynamic. So once that's instilled, once the child gets to the point where this is survival, it's almost as though their energy field opens and they kind of become a sponge and just draw in all of the energetic and sensory information of the moment, and it's implanted deeply. Once that's implanted, until that power person dynamic is cleared out, there are only 3 behaviors possible for an individual. And my take is this is what runs the world. And that is, depending on their level of stress, people will behave, the automatic decision system will kick in and keep them controlled by their interaction with their power person. So when there's no stress, people do whatever they did to get along with their power person. When stress starts to build, they'll do what they did to resist and survive with their power person. And when they become ultra-stressed, they'll do what their power person did to them that they hated the most. Mm-hmm. And the key there is the ultra-stress. Now, and this is one of the reasons why we suggest worksheets. This is one of the reasons why we do the mind goal management sheet, that you take charge of your stress. Because it can be, it doesn't mean that there's something traumatic going on or anything else. It could just be that the mind has so many goals that it's an overwhelm. It goes into that ultra-stress state. That's why, oftentimes people will turn around and snap at somebody. And it's like, well, everything's pretty good in my life, but there's so much stress in the mind. What does the power person do? Snapped at people when they got too close. So bingo, that takes over. And so it's the overload of goals, the stress created by goals, that moves us through those 3 levels of behavior. And so by managing the goals, managing the mind through that mind goal management sheet, keep your stress at more acceptable levels, and you'll notice you don't have to go into that power person dynamic. Now, what I just heard you sharing is that, I can imagine a scenario where maybe there were things that you wanted done with Dad, and, they were things that perhaps had to do with, let's say, just as an example, maybe had to do with your psychological survival. And so you want Dad to do this, to be there for you, support you, and get something done. And Dad goes back into this, oh, gee, I don't know about this. I don't know how to do this. I have to think about it. And I don't know where to start. Does that whole conversation. And if, as a small girl, you're looking to Dad for acknowledgement and psychological survival affirmation, I could easily imagine, again, this is just a wild guess, scenario, but I could easily imagine the child, Dad's procrastinating, he's not doing this for me, I guess I'm not worthy, I'm not valuable, he doesn't do what I want him to do. And so I could see that becoming that which I really hate him doing, quote unquote, to me. And then, decades later, it becomes, when I become stressed, another power person dynamic comes into play. And when that comes into play, what would happen is your natural genius, your intuitive intelligence, that would show you exactly how to do what it is you need to do, would be blocked by that conversation internally.
Right.
So you'd cut yourself off from your own wisdom with that. When you forgive that as to that dynamic, then in the situation where you have no idea what to do, instead of the mind coming up with an emotionalized power person dynamic that blocks, you'll just drop that and you'll be in your intuition and you'll get direct guidance as to how to do whatever it is you need to do.
Yeah. Well, I have two things to share, and one is that on my mind goal management today, I listed only 3 goals, and I have noticed this whole morning that I am just proceeding as opposed to thinking, oh, I have to eat something. I have to, soothe my stress by eating something, which is my usual pattern. So that was a big deal.
And is that another power person dynamic? Is that something Dad used to do?
No, he would sleep. He would get into depression and go and sleep.
Just go to bed. Yeah.
So he would just avoid the whole thing and everyone. Yeah. That was
eating and avoidance.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
So same thing.
And I can tell. I can feel the difference when I'm eating to avoid and soothe, or when I'm eating because I need the nourishment. I can feel that inside.
Yeah. Nice.
An interesting thing happened the other day. You know what you said about if he really loved me, I was in this super terrible state of just feeling really down, and I didn't know what to do, how to do a worksheet on it, whatever. And it was, but I knew that the stimulus was, if I was important, if I was worthy, he would have done this. And he would have done this for me. Yeah, right there is where it was. And I, it was like, okay, so what do I do?
It's just a lucky guess that I used that example.
Yeah, right. But what happened was that I said, I'm not dealing with this right now. I need to do a worksheet. I'm apparently not ready. So I went and soaked in a hot tub of water, which is very unusual for me to do in the middle of the afternoon. And what happened is that I had a discourse with him. And I said, if I had been important enough, if he'd loved me enough, he would have done this. And he said, I really wanted to, because you are important, and I loved you, and I wanted to do this for you. I just didn't know how. I didn't have the personal skills to be able to do it. Wow.
Wow, so, major.
Yeah, major. And now I think that's what opened up my ability to see that that his power person behavior is more deeply integrated in many more ways in me than I thought.
Yeah, it can be subtle. It can be very subtle, so nice catch.
Yeah. Well, it was remarkable when you made that statement. I just went, oh! So thank you.
Delighted to be on the team. Nice work.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to just now I know what to do my worksheets on.
Well, appreciate the integrity of your process and how much you contribute to everybody.
Thank you. It is a pleasure to be able to pay it forward. I've had so much help from you and Jeanie and other people over time. So it's wonderful.
Pretty awesome community, isn't it? We're blessed.
It is. And I wasn't sure that whether I wanted to take the time to sit in as a guest on the second run of the 14-week intensive, and it's been very valuable. These first 2 weeks, it's like, this is good to do.
Yeah, I was talking to Patrick McGann after the class last night, and he said that he went through. He was in Heartland for the whole summer last 2 years ago, and then he went through the 14 weeks. And last night he said this is the best session, and where I've gotten the most work done since I started doing this work. So it just was like the second time around. And to me, I'm just so delighted and excited that we have this possibility with the Zoom that we can do that. And it's just, it's just like the first time around, there are some basic brain cells that are built in an intensive like that 14 weeks. Then the next time around, those integrate with the next level of new and a whole different level of construct can occur in the mind. And then the next time there'll be still another layer of that, and still another and another. So I'm excited about the fact that we're able to do this now. Yeah, pretty cool.
Oh, could I put forth a suggestion that you might want to consider? I was talking with Julie Matthews this morning, and notice how I just went to it. I asked, and then I just went ahead. Sorry about that. Excuse me. Anyway, we were talking about how important it is to do the love exchange. And a thought came up that perhaps we could take 5 minutes to do a love exchange over Zoom with everyone together.
That's a great idea. And Jeanie, actually, if you looked at the email last night, we were talking about this, and we need to get people into pairs, into partners. And so she had sent out an email last night wanting to complete the list so we could send that out with assigning and assigned partners. And
I actually only sent that out to the new people.
Oh,
okay. Because we told the others that, they could attend whenever, off and on. They're not committed to the whole thing, and the new people are. So
right.
I only sent that to the new ones.
So would that mean
people up and get moving with the love exchange?
Good. Would that mean that new people should pair up with other new people then, only?
I don't think it's an only. Actually, Jeanie's setting up the pairing.
And I was actually getting ready to send you an email or a text and ask you.
Okay. Very good, very good. All right. Thank you so much, you guys. Blessings, and I shall listen, okay?
All right, young lady. Lots of love. All right, bye-bye.
Thank you. Love to you. Bye-bye.
All right.
And we have another hand.
Let's go for it.
And area code 205, you're on the air. Who do we have?
This is Joan in Birmingham.
Well, welcome, young lady. Good to hear your voice. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. And it was
sweet
class last night. And I'm still doing love exchanges with my partner from last time.
All right.
Checking, being accountable. So whether or not my group are included in the new group, there's nothing that stops you from identifying a partner.
Yay.
Yeah. And it's so much fun to have a partner, because occasionally during the class, not like we're texting all through the class, but when something might come up that it registers for us, we might send a text during the class. Like,
right.
I was so aware of how Tim was observing Susan as she taught last night. They're such a beautiful couple. Anyway, I love having a partner. It really makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. Nothing like a little help from our friends, right? And then just having the community, it's just awesome. And the new material, that came through, one of the things I'm looking forward to is the new material that came through in that last 14 weeks and how it will mature and morph with this 14 weeks. I'm really looking forward to how that's going to happen and building new insights into the whole codependence process.
For sure. Because everybody brings something unique to the class, every person. So it's never the same class.
Correct.
It's like it's so much the kind of work that the class is going to be determined by who shows up. And
exactly.
We have the foundation that you've given us, but what our life experience brings to the table makes it a unique course.
Definitely. It's sweet composite and wonderful community. The carryover, the number of people who are participating from the last intensive, I'm seeing that as holding the space for this whole new group, lifting them up to a new level, and then hopefully, as was just said, the new levels of brain cells that open up with the next exposure to the information. So it's
I really see it the same way, Michael. It's like I'm clear that I'm there to hold space for the new students, and I'm a new student as well.
I hear you. So am I.
Yeah.
So am I. I look at, the number of years that I've taught the codependence work, and I'm thinking of the morning that, we'd done a class, and the next morning I just woke up with this whole piece of guidance out of that to create that 7-page Power Person worksheet, which, we had kind of a puny little, relatively meaningless Power Person worksheet previous to that. But then that just grew out of it, the aliveness of the group and the space. So it's pretty cool, pretty exciting.
Right.
Pretty cool.
It definitely is. So thank you for inviting us oldies back.
Well, I'm so glad we can do that. It's pretty awesome to have this Zoom availability now. It's really, really cool.
It is.
So anything else on your mind, young lady?
That's all that I had. Thank you.
All right. We appreciate you. Lots of blessings. All right, Miss Jeanie, it looks like we've got about 23 or 24 minutes left. Do we have anything happening in the chat room?
There are no hands up and no questions in the chat room. And Magda, if you're still listening, you sent me a smiley face. Does that mean you agree? Oh, she said yes. They had actually already agreed, not knowing that we would be pairing. Okay. Thank you so much for stepping in there. I appreciate that.
Sweet.
All right.
And for those that are stepping up, as Jeanie acknowledged, it's just wonderful to see, and this is one of the other benefits of us being able to do this rolling intensive. People who've been there, done the work, and how they're just stepping in and helping to fill the gap in and lift everyone else up. I just see the whole synergy of it. It's pretty amazing.
Absolutely. So we have 22 minutes. If you have a question or comment or a direction you want the conversation to go, press 1.
And if you're not on the phone listening to us, if you're on one of those stations that we cannot access directly with our control panel, and you'd like to call in and have a conversation, the call-in number is 563-999-3581, 563-999-3581. If you call that number, you'll be listening to the show, and then if you have a question, if you push 1, that'll raise a hand in the phone queue, and Jeanie will know that you want to talk to us. And we would love to hear your voice. We'd love to hear your questions. And, sometimes people are kind of like, well, I'm on the radio. My voice might be shaky. Well, can you make it okay for your voice to be shaky? That's all right. Just, a little nervous. That's never hurt anybody. Can you allow that to happen while my palms are sweating? Well, good. So you're ready for some healing. Great. Go for it. And or you may think, well, I'm a newbie, so I don't even know what questions to ask, but I have this question. If you have a question, it's the question to ask. And, I so trust the process of people's questioning, because what I've watched over the years is that, it may be somebody totally new that comes in with what seems like one of the most basic questions, but it's the question that opens the deeper levels of an old-timer's process. So, if you're out there in listener land, and, if you want to remain anonymous, call yourself Bill. I don't care. It doesn't matter. And if I know who you are and you give us a name other than yours, I promise I will stick with that new name rather than reveal you. If you want to remain private, that's certainly fine and understandable. And if you have a thought for us, if you have a question about this idea, we started out with the idea of what emotions are, what causes emotions, and what they mean. People, give emotions all kinds of meanings. Oh, the fact that you made me so angry means I should attack you. if I put attack energy out to you, who gets the original of that energy and who gets the carbon copy? If I put attack energy out to you, I'm the one who gets attacked. I get the original, and, the person I'm attacking may not be home for delivery of that attack, and so that energy is coming right back to me. So when I realize that my emotions are something that I cause either consciously or unconsciously, they are never the responsibility of the environment, then I get to look into, at depth, some of the patterns, in the cases as Magda just shared with us, some of the power person dynamics that were so subtly instilled in me that I wasn't even aware of where they came from. I wasn't even aware of what the dynamic was. And when I can observe, when I can step back from my mind, become the thinker apart from the thought, the feeler apart from the feelings, and the actor apart from the actions, when I can do that, then a whole different world opens up. And we are here to support you in opening that world for yourself. So if you have a question for us, 563-999-3581, push 1, and we'll be having a conversation. How can we support you? What's on your mind? Now we'll just take a quiet moment. I'll just invite everyone to enter into that quiet space. You can just allow everything in your structure to soften and open. If there are tensions that you've not been aware of, allow yourself to breathe and become aware of those tensions. And as you become aware of any tensions that you had previously locked out of awareness, consciously, purposely, take a breath, let the breath reach into that tension. Let that part of your structure soften and open. Let the energy flow through there as designed, rather than be restricted by the holding of the breath or the holding of tension. As you let things soften, you may become aware of some emotions that you'd previously been hiding from yourself. You may even find some thoughts down there. And as you let yourself become aware of that, you breathe into that part of your structure. And breathing is a key to softening and opening, to bringing to awareness anything that you've been perhaps hiding from yourself underneath those tensions. And as you breathe into your structure, allow yourself to become aware that within each cell of your structure, trillions of cells, there is the presence of love. Take time every day to just stop, look within. And allow yourself to open to that presence of love. If there's tension anywhere, if there's tension in your sacrum, breathe into your sacrum and just let it open. Deep breath. As you tap into the love that's in every cell, allow yourself to become aware as yourself, as love, and allow that love to focus through every cell in your structure. Softening your neck, your jaw, breathing deeply into your chest. In fact, allow your breath to go right down into your sacrum, right through your belly. Let your whole breathing mechanism operate. What a wonderful thing it is to have a human form to experience and express through. What a gift to have a human life in all of this monumental creation. You and I get to share a human life. And you might just want to look into the fact that you may be, or you may not be, using your human life for human life. So many distractions in the world, so many power person dynamics, so many abuses, so many crazy things going on. When human life is designed to bring forward the expression of active love. Usually as we become conscious, we'll notice that whoever triggers hostility or fear in us that we want to hide from ourselves, we'll blame the trigger, and in so doing, give up acting as the presence of love that we're designed for. So once again, let your jaw relax on another level. Let your eyes and your forehead relax. Presence love throughout all the structures of your face, your head, your ears, your jaw, your teeth. And as you breathe in that love all the way into your chest. And just imagine that love energy just expanding in through your torso, through your hips, through your groin, your buttocks, breathing deeply right down into your feet. And as you see that light, that love in every cell, allow it to expand out beyond the edges of the cell so that the trillions of cells that you have that light expanding from within them, and every one of them joins in that light and intensifies the light and the presence of love within. The mind can convince us and find all kinds of ways to block the presence of yourself as love. The mind is the deceiver. Whenever it gets in the way, just ask it to be quiet and move aside. And as that light emanates from every cell, trillions of cells in your structure, that light joins and forms one very powerful light within. And as you breathe, you intensify that presence of love and that light, and you allow it to expand out beyond your form, out from the end of your feet, up from the top of your head, up from the front of your body and the back of your body. That light just expands into this bubble of light. And then imagine that, as you did with your individual cells, as that light expands, that the people in your environment are also in that state of light. And imagine in the same way that the cells expanded out and the light joined, that the light from you, as it emanates, joins and connects with the light that others around you have within them. And it strengthens. And you breathe. And you realize in the same way that there are trillions of cells, billions of people who have and carry the same light as you. And imagine that each and every one of them, as well as yourself, realizes who you are, and that you are designed to be the presence of love and to have and to live a true human life. And so imagine that light expands out from you to touch everyone within your city or the local area that you're in. And we know that like energy strengthens the same energy in others. When I choose love, it wakes up the love in everyone. And so imagine that light expanding out from you to touch everyone in your local area. And see, as that light strengthens from you, it's strengthening the light in every person that it touches. And that energy redoubles and expands out literally to touch every person in your state. Each one's cells in a single body, just like as you looked within, those trillions of cells are part of a single body. And you breathe, and you expand that presence of light and love to touch the light and love in every person in your state. And you breathe. And as that light expands out from beyond your state, it just spills out over the borders of your states to surrounding states. It moves. There are many people suffering at this point. As you expand your light, you help to ameliorate their suffering. As your light touches their light, that light strengthens in them. And imagine that we've got these 350 million lights within the United States of America, and the light strengthening in every person. You know, there are political processes going on right now, deep fears and terrors and rages. Imagine that light touches. There are many people suffering financial deprivation over the circumstances. Imagine that deep light touches each of those people. Strengthens the awareness and the presence of love in each. Many people suffering physically in their disease processes. Imagine your light touching and bringing comfort. And that light, as it joins in 350 million or so people in the United States, and expands out up into Canada, down into Mexico, touching each person. And as each person breathes in and that light strengthens, even if they're not aware of what's moving in them, it moves. And see it spreading and expanding out from all edges of these Americas, in all directions, down into and through the earth, up into the sky, out into all reaches and regions of the planet. In the ancient teachings, the mystical body of Christ. The incarnation of love in the earth when, at this point, 7.5 billion people wake up to who they are as love and bring that love into full awareness. That is the incarnation of Christ. Not a religious idea, just the fact that we're designed to function as love. And breathe. Allow everything in your form to soften totally. A whole other level of softening. Your gut, your chest, your neck, your pelvis, your legs, your feet, opening on a whole other level to breathe in this presence of love, to incarnate love here in the world. Strengthening the presence of love in every mind, heart, and being on the earth. And know the truth, that it is your destiny to function as the active presence of love, and to do that for eternity. Breathing with you. Just enjoying taking in that breath. Touching into that quiet place within. Pure being dwells. And then imagine that all of that light that you've put out and resonated with others now circling back. 7.5 billion people reflecting light and reflecting love to you. And you just breathe it in and just receive it and just be it. So sweet to have a human life. And know that we're holding the space for you to have the best